for the next episode of Half Price Days, Tuesdays, Half Price Tuesdays.
Some kind of day. I don't know what you mean by morning because it's 9 o'clock here and even later where you are.
Yeah, it's 12:54 in the morning.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So technically, I guess.
and we're here. Well, I'm here at 12:54 going, hey, Stranger Things debuted 54 minutes ago and I can watch it later.
Oh
Um,
my God. No, I have to finish my Hooptober. I can't get distracted by Stranger Things. F in
ah, damn
tits.
it.
Okay.
I gotta go pick up Mario Odyssey in the morning.
Oh, my boyfriend just got back from GameStop. He is playing it right now.
Oh, of course.
So that's okay. It's gonna be quiet
Yeah.
upstairs, so I'm solid and we're good.
The GameStop I pre-ordered at is in a mall, so I can't get it at midnight. So I have to wait in the morning till the morning, which is probably for the best.
They let him have it at 8 p.m., so I don't know. But
Oh, nice. Yeah, we don't have to worry about street date up where you live.
yeah,
Which this is actually a pretty good night then to get this started to do kind of a horror themed episode. We got Stranger Things season 2 right now,
yes,
basically.
I'm excited.
Uh, you mentioned Hooptober, which
Mm-hmm.
I'll explain quickly for anyone else listening. Hooptober is a challenge on Letterboxd that's been going on for at least 3-4 years, where
This
you
is the
know,
fourth one.
it's a fourth one. Okay,
Yeah.
you watch a horror mill of film a day for the whole month of October, but there's requirements like you have to have one Wes Craven movie, you have to have one
Like a scavenger
James
hunt.
Well movie. Yeah, it's a scavenger hunt. I think in the past there was like a remake original challenge. I think they took that out from what I remember.
Well, they change it. He changes it. Cinemonster, the person who puts it together.
Yeah.
The criteria gets like switched every year. Like you could watch all six of your like director movies from Wes Craven, or you could do one out of each person.
Right.
I have four Craven movies, Tom Holland's Fright Night, and then
Yeah.
two by James Whale. So I'm neglecting a couple, but
I
I've
think
seen most of the Carpenter movies anyway. So
right. For the challenge I think he had this year, just go over it real quick. He wanted 6 sequels, 6 different countries, which is going to be the biggest pain in the ass. 6 different decades. You don't just pick all 80s movies, 70s movies. 6 films
right,
before 1970, which I like, but I have reasons why it doesn't really matter. 6 films from he put Carpenter, Raimi, Whale, Todd Browning, Wes Craven, Tom Holland. So basically one of each if you want. 3 people eating people films that are not zombie.
cannibals
Which,
basically.
yeah, I like how he worded that. A Hammer film, one of the Romero Dead films, one terrible oversight, which is basically put the horror genre up and go by unwatched in popularity.
Like
And
if
for
you
me,
haven't seen Psycho, go watch fucking Psycho. Like come on, like
I
it's that challenge.
right. Or I think you and me both have Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, like my most shameful oversight that I finally conquered. So that was good.
Right. Nice.
Anyway,
And two Tobe Hooper films because it's called Hooptober. And also this year is a bit more special for that because, he just died.
yeah.
So
So it's two instead of one, like it was last year.
yeah. And I think for this one, I didn't ever. A lot of people were putting Texas Chainsaw, the Cinemonsters. Like, yeah, I guess I can watch this for the 400th time. But
And the extra credit to watch it and the It remake.
right, which was cool. At the same time, I did see obviously the remake, and I really liked it. I do not have the time or patience to sit through the miniseries again.
Ugh,
I can't.
I did.
I
It did not age well.
yeah. So that's why I'm kind of like, oh, okay.
But my
Yeah.
sister, she says she had never seen it, but like I'm pretty sure she's seen it because we grew up together. She just must have not have remembered. But Yeah, so she hadn't seen it, so I didn't have a problem like revisiting it. But I will probably not revisit it again.
Right. Yeah, it's not that
Just
it's
have a useless Blu-ray just sitting around that I
bad.
bought for this. So, oh well.
So going by that, he even said, I know it's October, but I'm having family issues, so we're gonna do start this middle of September because I need 2 extra weeks. So I'm gonna give everyone 2 extra weeks.
That's how it was
Which
last year too. It was
oh
like
what okay.
yeah, September 15th, and then
Okay.
the criteria for like the scavenger hunt is um published like a week or two ahead of that.
Right. Okay. I didn't know that because this is the first time I've tried it. You went out of your way to keep texting me like, "Did you make your list yet?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Sure, I should because
It,
you're gonna do it, and
if you
I
have to
should."
wait till December to finish it, like that's okay.
That's gonna happen
I won't
because
judge you.
I had a. I'm not gonna get too deep into detail, but a mix of the Indians just being lovely and not choking at all, and
Sports
that
ball.
sports ball. Not to get too deep into it, but death in the family, stuff like that. So I was like, I can't do it. I don't have time to look for a lot of these movies to sit and watch. I've been just busy and emotional, different. And I've been catching up on new releases and then trying to. It's like it was bad, it's bad timing to try to do this, but I'm still trying to catch up on it.
Have you
But
ever checked out Shudder?
no.
Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? It's a streaming service for like horror
Okay.
movies specifically. They do like a 1 week free trial, like you could cram some stuff in for that 1 week, but they have a pretty good selection. They can get you some of the more obscure, like the 6 countries that you were like angsting about. They have like a whole big selection, like Euro horror specifically, or like Asian horror specifically that you can like look into. I don't know, they got a lot of good stuff on there.
I thought you were talking about like some movie because I remember some early 2000s horror movie called Shutter that was about a photographer.
Oh, that was no, this Shutter with D's, not with T's.
Oh, okay, that's totally not okay.
Yeah,
That changes
I'm
everything.
shuddering because I'm so scared.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Oops. Shutter TV. But anyway, so that's kind of what the primary conversation is going to be is both doing this. But I think we both had situations where we weren't able to really keep up on it as much as we'd like to. Um, and I just kept adding different movies as I was watching them because it's, I went and saw Mother and added that to the list. It's like, oh, there's over 30 movies on here now, just out of like 35 movies, just kept
Well,
adding them.
shouldn't there be 33 if you're doing the extra credit, 31 otherwise?
Um, yeah, I was thinking about that as I was kept talking. So I'm at 30. There's 35 movies on this list right now, and that's because watched Flatliners, then saw the remake the next day, and I went, "What was the point of this?" Um, but you've seen the original Flatliners, or you've never seen it?
I have not, no.
Okay, and I'm assuming that you didn't bother with the remake.
I did not, no.
Okay, I'll go over that real quick then.
I mean, it didn't look good, and then you told me it wasn't good, so I
Oh,
figured, like,
it's bad. It's
yeah. Or maybe you
but
didn't tell me specifically, but I read, like, what
you
you had to say about
probably
it.
read my write up because the
Right.
original Flatliners, the one from '90, is honestly a great movie. Like I surprised I didn't grow up on it. Like that I think I was really surprised I didn't just pick up on that a long time ago because it really works as its own. It's more of like a supernatural thing. It's not like a full on horror, which I was
Uh-huh.
watching it, I'm like, I shouldn't have picked this movie, but I'm an idiot. But I'm already watching it, so I'm gonna use it anyway. And it's actually not the worst thing ever. I was expecting to be just okay, but it's actually a really great movie. But
I
the
had one on
remake,
my list like that. Like, it was way more thriller than, like, horror. You know, it wasn't even
yeah,
good. but
What,
like,
what,
okay, whatever.
what was yours? That
Uh,
was
my choice for one of the country categories was Desierto, the Mexican movie where Jeffrey Dean Morgan just like slaughters a bunch of immigrants trying to cross over the border.
oh, he's the border agent.
No, he's just some guy. He's not even
Oh,
a
okay.
border agent. He's just like a really racist guy.
It's not funny, but it's funny.
But
You should just
supposedly, because he has like no like scenes where there's any kind of character development explaining like why he just hangs out by the border and like snipes Mexicans
hmm,
and like has his dog eat them. It's pretty like severely fucked up and like
fun way.
not in a fun way. It just like maybe if I had watched the movie when it first came out, like a few years ago, and not
Yeah.
right now. Yeah, yeah.
So did,
Anyway,
but you hated it then?
uh, there were some good things about it,
Hmm.
but it wasn't like great. I wouldn't recommend it.
I honestly had no interest in it.
Yeah.
Because if anyone knows me about movies, that friends of mine that know me with whatever with movies, I mean I was born in '87, so the majority of what is called a horror movie was the remaining like Friday the 13th movies, the Elm Street movies, and all the clone slasher movies. Walking through the video store and seeing all these clone slasher movies, and then Scream, which is supposed to be mocking them, but then it just becomes its own thing. And it's like,
It's
apparently,
lovingly mocking them. Like, are you gonna talk
yeah,
shit about Scream to me?
no, no, I'm not. No,
Okay.
Scream's fine.
Okay.
Scream's fine. I'm just saying, I grew up on all horror films being here's 5 or 6 people, they're all gonna get stabbed one by one. And it's like, I don't have time for that. I'm just watching people die one by one, and there's nothing to it. It's because most of these movies were awful, and I assumed all horror films were slasher movies because I was 10.
Right.
And, I grew up on my dad showing me classic films and my mom showing me like classic films from the 70s. I wasn't watching all these horror movies that were currently out, so I was really off the mark on that. And then I got older and went, no, that was just the shitty trend.
Yeah, that was when they're
So
5 sequels deep, and they've gotten so far from the original idea that, yeah, yeah.
right, so I'm behind on a lot of stuff.
Uh-huh. So, how about that new Saw movie? You excited?
No, I I've heard it's actually just fine. I've never seen any of them, but I should watch the first Saw at
Not even the
least.
first one?
No,
You
I
should
never
watch the
did.
first one. Watch the first one. I've
That was
seen, I mean, I had seen it before, but it had been a while, so
I
I watched it
should.
again for Hooptober.
Oh, I should. I mean, a few of my friends were going to the theater every year for every sequel, and I was the only one doing something else. And because again, high school, here's another Saw movie. Here's Hostel. Here's eventually, Human Centipede, even though I was like already at high school by then. It's like I'm just watching people die. I have other shit to do. So I forgot what my
Okay,
original point
I
was.
think we were talking about Flatliners.
So I'm sorry, you're right.
But I
So
want to try to convince you to watch the original Saw, because, like, you
oh,
need to.
I will.
It's
No,
like, it's not even. The later entries get, like, super convoluted and, like, way overcomplicated with, like, the bizarre, gross torture traps. But this one is mostly just, like, two guys chained to pipes in a room. Like,
right.
I mean, there's some fucked up, you know, it's Saw, but
Oh, I mean, I'm aware that it's. I'm sure if I watched it now, I'd be like, "Oh, this is actually great," and I'm a moron.
I
But
wouldn't say, like, great, but, like, definitely you
because I
should
think
watch it.
because I
I mean,
think
it's maybe the most 2004 movie that like ever exists. Like the ending credits have a corn song or something, like it, it's very classic like early 2000s bullshit.
right. Oh, I don't think corn's all bullshit, but
Okay, but it's very
I
like of its time, okay?
you're fine. I think just that I think we got a thing where every Saw sequel, after at least the second one, the marketing wasn't even about the story. It was just, okay, so we put 7 buzz saws around this woman's crotch because, you know, she had an abortion and it's evil. And then this guy's a dickhole doctor and he's a jerk. So I'm gonna put syringes up his ass. I was like, what else happens? They
It's
just
like
make. So I
the
just
way that he decides his victims is like so arbitrary. Like for the most minor infractions, they
right.
get like straight up murdered. Like, this guy eats too much. This woman does a lot of heroin, but otherwise just minds her own business. Like, so the whole motivation of, oh, he's punishing people who deserve it and make them appreciate life more. Like, there's way worse people he could go after than the ones he actually does. And that's why I can't with the fucking Saw movies past the first two. I think I've
Okay.
seen three and seen like bits and pieces of the other
Maybe that's
ones. And out of curiosity, like saw a video recap of the super convoluted plot, but
well, it's I will watch the first one. I can't promise it'll be before Tuesday, but Halloween, but I will try to soon. But
it's on Hulu.
the original Flatliners is a situation where Keith Sutherland comes in and has this whole system where I want to see if we can die. If we come right back alive and we record everything we saw. And it doesn't go into the fact that people, when they're dying and they're brought back, your brain starts releasing like serotonin and giving you happy thoughts as you die. And that's the visions people are going. It doesn't even go into that. It's just straight up, oh yeah, I saw shit. And then you come back, and when they come back, stuff starts following them. Problems they had, and they deal with it. Like Kevin Bacon goes under, and he starts having these memories of a girl he tortured when he was 8, like verbally tortured, not physically, but
Okay.
then he goes and finds her and apologizes, and she accepts it, and she acts like she doesn't remember, but it's obvious that she does remember, and she appreciates him coming back. But at the same time, Keith Sutherland came with him on this drive to her house, and while he's in the truck, this little kid that's his anxiety starts beating the shit out of him with a hockey stick. It's just like, and then Kevin Bacon's got to come out and go, oh, hey, you're having a vision. He's like, oh, fuck, why am I bleeding? I don't know why you're bleeding. That's really weird. It's not bad. And then Julia Roberts shows up, and this is like right after this is like a month after Pretty Woman came out. I looked at the release
It's like
dates.
her on the cusp of fame, yeah.
Yeah. So like Pretty Woman came out in May, and this came out in July. So like this is right after she started getting big.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's just interesting. She probably wouldn't have done this movie after, but she um but I will say that in this movie there's no situation where, oh, I went under, now I can play the piano, Ellen Page.
Yeah, that made no sense just from seeing it in the trailer. I mean, what the hell?
The idea was the trailer just made it look like she becomes a superhero. What it really is that she had she remembered a song on the piano when she was 8, and she can remember. She becomes like one of those people that remembers every single thought they've ever had and never forget it. So when she was 8, she learned one song on the piano and forgot it, but now her brain woke up. It doesn't use the line 100% of your brain, which
Okay, I was about to ask.
no, it doesn't do that. And I was disappointed. I'm like, you might as well have. You've done everything else. You might as well say 100% of her brain,
Oh.
because you get this guy who's like the douche, womanizer, who's only a doctor to impress his rich dad. And he tells a story And it seems like the girl, he has like an ex-girlfriend who got pregnant, and what it looks like it's leading up to is that he forced her to get an abortion and it killed her. And I was like, oh, that's kind of dark. But no, he just dropped her off at the abortion clinic and wouldn't come in. That's the bad thing he did. He never checked if, yeah. And then you find out later that he runs into her and then she has the kid with him. He's like, oh, you didn't go through with it. She's like, no, you didn't get out of the car. So I just went home and had the kid. And I'm like, what? And then he's like, I guess I have a kid now. And it's like, yeah, that was resolved fairly anticlimactically. Okay.
Okay.
But it's funny because he's telling this, because everyone starts telling their backstory about the awful things they've done. And he says, her name was Elisa, blah, blah, blah. Next paragraph. Then Alicia got pregnant. I'm like, wait, did you just change her fucking name?
Mid scene.
Yeah. And then later he finds her, goes, Alicia. And I'm like, you fucked up her name the first time and they didn't care. They left in the wrong name. You said her name wrong. That's how much they didn't give a shit about this movie.
Yeah, they couldn't bother just taking another take. Like, honestly.
Right. Also, Ellen Page has the ghost of her sister. She had a little sister that she killed because Ellen Page was driving with her little sister in the car, and then she got a text. And her looking at her phone made her drive off a bridge and kill her sister. So, yeah, the ghost of her sister follows her in the apartment, and Ellen Page is sitting in the window trying to escape, and the sister shoves her, and Ellen Page goes flying, and then smacks on the ground and dies. And it's halfway in the movie. It's not even the end. She just dies. It's like supposed to be the psycho twist, but instead it's just stupid. It's awful, and I don't want to talk about it anymore because we're wasting time where I could be going, hey, remember in April when I went and saw this Belgian horror movie called Raw, and I told you to watch it, and it never came out around you?
I definitely remember that because I checked
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. And then you're going to love this. And then it showed up and then I found the DVD at Walmart and they wanted like $20 and I shouldn't have paid for it, but I did. So I could show it to my friend who also loved it. And then it showed up on Netflix and then you're like, I'm going to put it in my Hooptober list. And then you finally watched it.
And then it showed up on Netflix like the day after you bought it.
Yeah. Which is fun. I'd rather own it and show it to everyone. Like, I don't care about Netflix. Just here, you need to. I'm old and I'm going to hand off DVDs. So, Dorsey, of your
I watched Raw
list, you put down Raw as three movies about eating people that are not zombies. Tell me how you felt about Raw.
Well, it's much, much better than fucking Blood Feast. I'll talk about how terrible Blood Feast is in a minute.
Okay.
But because it's bad. You should definitely watch it eventually someday.
Okay.
But I absolutely loved Raw. Like, never have I yelled at a TV screen like, "Don't put that in your mouth," so much. It's been a long time since I had so much fun like reacting to a movie that was like good and not like so bad it's good. Cause like I can play a drinking game to all the terrible Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequels and like that's fun. But I immediately wanted to watch Raw again like once I was done seeing it. Amazing.
Nice.
And like I don't even want to say too much about it because I want people to just watch it. Like all I knew was like the basic idea. This vegetarian girl goes to vet school and gets fed like raw rabbit kidneys. And then ... cannibalism happens. Like that was the extent of what I knew about the movie going in.
Right.
And that's all you need to know, honestly. But I recommended it to a coworker the next day because they were telling me, well, Halloween's coming up. I'm looking for some good horror movies to watch. And I said, watch Raw. And they did. They watched half of it. There's a
Oh.
certain scene that you probably know exactly which one I'm talking about. About halfway through the movie, where he turned it off and could not watch it anymore.
Does it have to do with the phrase Brazil wax?
Uh, yeah, a Brazilian
Okay.
wax and a finger.
Uh, I I just remember sitting in the theater because it was just me and my one friend that I came with, and there was no one else in the
Mhm.
theater because people suck. And when it's not going to go too deep into it, but the close up, and I'm like, that's real. This is a 19-year-old actress who that they found, as far as I know, is her first movie, from what I could see. And they said, okay, so we're gonna have you do everything.
I looked into
And
her, and she's done like a short film with the same director before.
okay,
Directed by a woman, by the way. So, I
right.
mean, obviously, if you watch the movie, but that's nice to see, especially in horror films, because there aren't enough. Anyway, go ahead.
Just I'm just like this girl, or like the bit where she starts getting the rash.
Ugh, that
And
was gross. Ugh. See,
it's just
I'm glad that I waited until like I could just watch it from the comfort of my home because like I had
oh.
visceral reactions.
Oh yeah, no, we did too. Like I said, we're the only two in the theater, so we're just openly yelling.
Ugh.
It was so much fun. It's uh I was watching it about it being your parents trying to repress you and bring you down, and I was worried it was going to be a euphemism for puberty, and that's it. I'm like, please don't be lazy. Please don't just do that. And it's not. It's a overall about finding yourself, and not just about puberty. About, I think you said
Puberty
specifically,
and like general womanhood, even.
right?
Um, the best horror movies, I think, like you can watch them for like the visceral horror movie stuff and like get spooked and squirm, and then you can also appreciate like subtext like that.
I think you. I have your review up now, and you said sexuality as a monster inside waiting to come out, how our hunger in all its forms is to be stifled. Helicopter parenting can't suppress what is part of us from the start. Once you taste freedom, you will always want more. It's fucking great. Yeah, you give it a higher rating than me. Like you give it a 5 out of 5. I said
I
four and a
fucking loved it.
I I said 4.5 out of 5 only because, especially watching the second time, it's like it takes a minute for this shit to get really good. Like in the beginning, I remember thinking, why is everyone just an asshole? Like overtly cartoonishly an asshole, and it's bothering me. But
Maybe that's
then
what French school is like. I don't know. I've never
it's
been.
right. The second time, I'm like, I get it. They're not really assholes. It's just supposed to represent like this animal kingdom, and she has to adapt to it.
Sure.
I get that. It's like okay, because when I originally was thinking when she's meeting all these people that are fucking with her bed, and the rest of the movie, her bed's never made from what I remember. Like all of her shit's just everywhere for the rest of the movie. She never has her shit together, literally. And I was waiting for her to just go, oh, people, and then kill the one asshole teacher, a couple of the upperclassmen that fucked with her stuff. She eats them. That's what I was waiting for it to be, and it doesn't. This isn't just become like a slasher movie at
Yeah, it
all.
doesn't become. It's not like a revenge type of movie where like, oh, the upperclassmen were mean, so I'm gonna kill them all.
Right.
It's her trying to suppress some dark shit she doesn't know how to deal with more than it is about. I mean, she doesn't actually severely at least like hurt anyone. I mean, she gets in a fucked up fight with her sister, but
The sister was good too. Like sister was like the second time I really realized how good she was too. How you start the first time around, it's like this is where you're at when you're going to get full understanding of yourself. But then you realize the sister doesn't even have it; she's just pretending, and she had it so fast, and she still doesn't even know how to completely react and respond to being an adult. And there's so many butts in this movie too.
yeah, I'm excited to watch it again. Like after I watch all these other things on my list, I'm definitely gonna hit up Raw again.
Uh,
I'll
sure
try to
thing.
make my sister watch it because that'll be like a great sisterly bonding movie, right?
Yeah, you're not even
Kind of,
wrong.
yeah, it is.
You're not, you're not even wrong. It really is. It's a great film. To honestly, it's a good family film. Just gotta pick the family you're watching it
Yeah,
with.
bring the kids
Well, it
or
depends on
not,
moods.
maybe.
But yeah, Raw's amazing. Raw's easily going to be like in my top 10 for the year. It's I was blown away by like three movies I saw in a short amount of time back in like April, and those are still in my top five for the year. So
Wait, in
Raw,
April?
I originally saw it in
What came out
April.
in April? What else did?
Personal Shopper
Oh,
and Lost City of Zed.
oh,
Yeah, so
never mind.
say April was a really good month. None of them else were horror related. Well, Personal Shoppers, it's a ghost story, but I wouldn't call it a horror movie.
I
Even though I
definitely would not know.
even though I loved Personal Shopper almost
I mean,
perfectly, but
even if there's like elements, I wouldn't call it a horror movie, but
right.
it's been
Yeah, I
kind of a weak year overall, honestly. I mean,
for
compared to last year
films.
where there's been no, for horror movies specifically.
Really? You would say this has been a weak year for horror?
I think compared to last year, yeah. I mean, we got Raw, we got Get Out.
Split.
I passed on Split. I didn't see it. Um,
Oh Christ. Okay, yeah, Split counts. The It remake. I'll even say Happy Death Day, which is something else I actually put on the list at the last minute. This Happy Death Day is actually really well done. Like it's not perfect, but I don't know if you got to see that yet.
I didn't. I haven't. No.
Okay. I was gonna
And
skip. I was gonna.
I liked the It remake, but also it's a remake,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I guess it can count.
For horror, I mean, because I know the last few years, the stuff that was starting to pick up steam, like the stuff like It Follows, and I even thought Unfriended was okay. The one that's all on
I
Skype.
didn't. I didn't hate Unfriended.
No, I
It was fine.
I've seen
It was
nothing
an
but
interesting concept. I think,
yeah,
but some of it was like dumb. Like, why would this particular thing be taking place in front of your webcam? But
right. I mean, I've seen worse films, and I've seen awful reviews for it. And the last 2 seconds of the movie are dumb, like really dumb, and I think it ruined a lot of it. And I know then right before that we had the Babadook, which I love the hell out of too. But
Babadookie. Hmm.
I don't know. This year feels honestly pretty solid. I mean, for me in general, I love this year for movies. I've had a lot of good times, especially with stuff I saw
Are you
recently.
like winking when you say like I've had a lot of good times because of Good Time, the movie? Or am I like reading into that way too much?
No, but thank you. I hadn't thought of that. But good time I like too. That's what I mean. I just randomly walked into a theater like, oh, Robert Pattinson's doing a con man movie. Oh shit, it's really good. But like every almost I've had some disappointments, but like the
Good
nine
Time
11.
is in like my top five for the year. Like I really loved it.
I'm glad you got to catch it because I know that's hard sometimes, especially for something like that. It was really limited.
Yeah, they only showed it for like a week.
And I love that
Yeah.
the poster looks like he's coming out of a bottle of Mountain Dew, but that's not Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, for the Tobe Hooper films themselves, I wasn't gonna rewatch Texas Chainsaw just because that's what everyone else is doing. I think we both had the same one. I also had Poltergeist because I haven't seen that since I was 10, and I was happy to rewatch it. And I
Yeah,
watched it
I
with.
had Poltergeist on there also. And
Oh, okay.
same as you, I haven't seen it in ages, so like I was glad that it like still held up even though
Oh yeah.
some of the effects are they were good when they came out. And that's
Right.
all I can say. But
I I really honestly kind of loved it. I was
I
really
love
happy with
no,
it.
Poltergeist is great.
And it came out the same year as like E.T. So I think like E.T. got like all the money and all the popularity, and I'm like,
Yeah, like within a couple of months even, like they
"Eh."
were in theaters at the same time.
Yeah. And I'm like, E.T. is just okay. And we were watching my one friend from work that I saw Raw with, she has a 12-year-old daughter who her mom lets her watch anything. Like I was like, hey, here's Dogtooth. Please don't watch it with your children. What's it about? I'm not telling you.
Mm,
It's about implied incest with adopted siblings. Don't show it to your
uh,
children.
uh,
And then she's like, "Oh, my 12-year-old watched it with me." And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to jail now." Um,
that's nice.
but she's like, "No, no, it's fine." Like, yeah, if you say so. But then she never saw Poltergeist. Well, this is odd. But she was getting bored in the beginning. But I could tell at the first point of when shit does get real and then it cools off for a bit, her
Hmm.
her daughter put the phone down and watched the rest of the movie, and I loved it. I loved it. I mean, it took a minute, but she was like, okay, yeah. And then Zelda Rubinstein shows up, and I remember her in Tales from the Crypt, but I was happy to see her here, and it's so good. And I know it's like doesn't mean anything. I mean, everyone's seen Poltergeist and knows it's great, and
It's widely accepted as like great. So yeah.
unfortunately, the other movie
The Funhouse.
was The Funhouse. Now, I don't know why you picked it, but the only reason I did was because the main girl, the final girl in this film, is played by Elizabeth Barrage in her first film.
Hmm.
And for whatever reason on Earth, apparently the story is that Milos Forman watched it and looked at her and said, "That should be Mozart's wife." So it's what she's most known for is being Stanzi in Amadeus, which is a film I'm absolutely in love with, and I'm one of my future tattoos is going to be something from that movie. So I thought, oh shit, wait, she's the final girl in this? Yeah, I need to add this right now. And and it's funny because
I
there's a
chose it
yeah.
because the Blu-ray was cheap on Amazon. So that's my story.
Oh, okay. Did you ever see Amadeus? By the way,
Not recently enough to speak on it, but yes.
okay. So you remember her being Stanzi, and there's
I
a
mean,
there's
I didn't make that connection until you said it just now, but yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
guess so. I guess so.
because
Yeah.
she's from what I could see, she's like a stage actress. She stayed more on like with off screen and back on stage, so she wasn't always in doing stuff. But in real quick in Amadeus, there's a director's cut, and I don't like it, but I've had some people swear by it that it's amazing. And it's like the main thing in the director's cut is there's a bit where Salieri makes her come over at night in secret to sleep with him, and as soon as she takes her top off, he like starts getting cold feet, and he says, "Get the fuck out," and she hates him the rest of the movie. And then in the original cut of the film, they cut that part out, which to me, which like once you cut that part out, it changes a part of the ending completely. But I don't mind that. But it's just that you're watching the director's cut and going, "Oh, those are her tits." So in the funhouse, you first see her getting out of the shower or getting in the shower and undresses immediately. And I'm like, she looks about 16 here. She's got a baby face, so you're like, you look really young, and you're naked. And then her little brother comes in with this fake knife and stabs her, and then stares at her naked tits for about 30 minutes.
That's so awkward. Like, as soon as I realized what they were going for with that scene, like as an homage to other better horror movies,
Yeah,
that was like maybe one of my favorite things about the Funhouse is all the references to better movies, but the
right.
Funhouse itself is not good.
No, it's honestly not. I mean, I gave it 3 out of 5 just as I like the other elements around the
And
horror
that
film.
scene went on for so long, like so long.
It
Why?
does, and it's just, I mean, it's goes on for so long, but it
Why is the
doesn't.
little brother even in the movie?
He's in
I
the
mean,
movie. He's
he
in the
wanders around the carnival for a little while, and
yeah,
all it does is set up like a jump scare near the end, and then there's like that brief scene where she sees her parents outside, but they can't hear her because of the fan thing.
right. Which it's
But
like,
did we really need a whole subplot to lead up to this of a kid just walking around in the background?
I mean, I could see what he was going for, which is don't lie to your parents because kid's gonna tell on her. He's like, if you tell them I'm going to the circus, I'll kill you. So he's like, well, I can't tell him. She'll kill me. And but then he realizes also, well, I never saw her, so I don't think she's actually here. I guess she wasn't lying. Okay, let's go. And it's like then she's sitting there about to die, going, "Oh, I shouldn't have lied to my parents." Huh? And I saw where they were going with it, but it's just like kind of a trite fucking lesson
Like, yeah,
considering.
pretty stupid and unnecessary. Like,
But there's elements to it I like because it wanted to. It's like Texas Chainsaw Light in the sense of the story of there's these 3 different Barkers for the different parts of the show, and it's all the same actor in different makeup, which I liked when I realized that's what they were doing. They walk into the it just stops being a horror movie when it's just let's walk through the carnival and here's a cow with 2 faces and here's a cow with a cleft palate and you just want to hug them.
yeah.
Go,
And there's
oh,
maybe a solid like 25, 30 minutes of just a bunch of kids at a carnival.
right. Or you see this whole magician. You're watching this whole magician show that is nothing.
Right?
It's this whole bit of this guy, doing the stick the knives in the box, and the assistant comes out and goes, "You didn't kill me." And then it's like, "This is my daughter," and I'm like, "Are they gonna come back?" No, never. And they sneak into the house and they look down through the floorboards and they're like, "Oh, look, it's a horror movie." And then they're like, "Oh, okay, I guess the movie's starting now." Hour and a half in, and it's unfortunate because there are bits that work, but it's obvious that he obviously made better movies. And she goes outside after everyone else dies and it's morning and they're closing up and there's a giant fat lady singing out top and I'm like, it's because it's over.
Get it? Do you get it? Do you
This,
understand what they were going for with that? Just want to check.
yeah,
Make sure you understood.
this movie's dumb.
Yeah,
I
yeah, like you said, there's stuff that I liked about it. Like
yeah,
I liked the grimy, like nasty, carny kind of aesthetic. Well, I mean, like what you said, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre light in a lot of what
the story
it was
is
going for, like both in aesthetic and like grimy middle America type of,
freaks.
yeah, I
Yeah,
guess freaks.
it was so I think that's everything that we had on the same list. like I said, I only got to see a handful of what I put on this list, which I'm staring at it now, being disappointed in myself.
Anything particularly that stands out, like one way or another,
That
on
I
your list that you want to talk about?
that I got to watch.
Yeah, that you watched, obviously.
Okay,
Because I could
I
tell
did
you
get to.
about Blood Feast.
Well, real quick, I think the only other thing is like I got to watch Deep Red, which if you've ever seen a random clip of like a doll walking into a room in some 70s horror movie with a knife, it's from Deep Red. And I was like, oh, it's from this movie. I've seen that clip 1,000 times. But it's really good if you are big on like Italian horror movies like that era.
I
Um,
can I can dig it for sure.
okay.
Last, I mean, it's more like 60s, I guess. But last Hooptober for the directors section,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a list of like four or five, but I decided to go all the way ham on the Mario Bava movies, and I had a decent time, even though like a solid handful of them are nonsense. And my favorite of those was one that like nobody talks about, like The Whip and the Body. It has Christopher Lee in it,
Okay.
and that one's good. But everyone talks about like Black Sunday or
I'll admit
yeah,
Black
some other
Sunday is the
ones.
only I'll admit Black Sunday is the only one I've seen.
Kill Baby Kill and Blood and Black Lace are the ones that, like I liked Kill Baby Kill. I didn't see that other one, but The Whip in the Body is good. It was on Shudder last year. That's how I watched it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have
Anyway,
to.
yeah, so I can
Huh.
I can dig on the Italian horror even though he's mostly like in the 60s, but
Right. Well, I think Deep Red's like middle 70s. And then real quick, in the Mouths of Madness, if you've never seen that, it's John Carpenter
it's one of
with
the few Carpenter ones I have not seen actually.
I oh okay. Well, not to get too deep into it, but it's mid 90s John Carpenter, Sam Neill. Instead of it wants to I don't want to spoil too much, but let's say that it looks like it's about to be a Lovecraft movie, but then they're driving and then they wind up in a Stephen King movie. It's and then at the very ending, there's a small element to it that I want to think that Sam Neill said, "No, I have to do this or it won't work." And I don't want to get too deep into it, but it's really fucking great. And it's another one that I don't know how I didn't watch it a long time ago. And it's not like it's hard. I think that was on Netflix for a while. It might still be. So you should if you haven't already seen that. Um, but please go into this movie called Blood Feast that you 1.5 stars to.
Okay, so it's do you know anything about this? Because
I
apparently it was like a landmark horror movie. It's like credited as like the first like splatter gore film. It came out in
oh Herschel
1963.
Herschel Gordon Lewis. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And it is not a good movie by any means. Like, let's be
Okay.
very clear about that. However,
Oh my god.
it definitely earns its reputation as a like splatter gore movie because those people are the only ones even trying to sell this. It's just so bizarre. Like, it's barely an hour long, but it still feels like they should have cut like 20 minutes out of the movie. There are actors looking at the camera during their lines or like flubbing their lines and starting over, and the camera keeps going and they just use that take. Like, they're like, whenever the cops talk, they're in this one set, like, one guy's at the desk, one guy is like standing up next to a chair instead of sitting in the chair, and they say just like the most generic, stupid cop lines you could ever, like, this guy's a maniac, like, we gotta get him. Well, if only we had some clues. Like, they can't figure out who this guy is, despite the fact that he like goes into women's houses and like molests them and butchers them and like takes pieces from them. Like there's a really neat scene where he goes and like rips a girl's tongue out like with his bare hands. It's super disgusting, but like the practical like gore effects like the solid, especially like 1963. But everything else
I
about it is so bad. Like the score is so terrible, the dialogue is so terrible. Actors don't even look like they've been given any context for what this movie is at all. Just like you say this when and then she says it and she has no idea she's in a horror movie. Even though there's a guy on the other side of like the set talking about like Egyptian rituals where they like sacrifice virgins and blah 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 blah. It's pretty hilarious. I would definitely recommend that everybody watch it with the disclaimer that it's like not a good movie at all. It's awful.
It sounds like, I mean, I've never seen any of his movies, but I saw the director. I'm like, okay, I know exactly where this is
This is
going.
my first of his. I mean, I at least assumed since it made such a splash, it would at least be like competently made. I was expecting sleazy, but
It almost felt amateurish, and that made it worse.
yeah,
Okay,
I was
right.
definitely expecting sleazy, but I wasn't expecting them to like mute the mics so that they could play music over scenes just because they couldn't be bothered to script something. But you can see like characters talking and you don't hear them talking. It's just like really loud, overbearing. Like, like that kind of horror music from like every 50s and 60s movie. It's just like really loud and not very complex. Just like a Hammer horror kind of soundtrack,
Right.
but like not even listenable, just like burn your ears out nonsense.
I that seems like I don't know how my Halloween's gonna go this year, but I think if I'm in a spot where, all right, let's just watch. It's late. We're just gonna put on something. I'll get on Shutter, and if I see something like Blood Feast or one of his other movies, I'll just pop it on. We'll just sit there and keep drinking. Um, but yeah, I feel really bad because I think you said you got 9 left. I have about 25, so I'm not going to finish. So you've definitely gotten to catch a bit more than me. Because I put The Road on here just because I need a cannibal movie. What was
Watch
under the
Blood Feast instead.
yeah
Watch Blood Feast instead.
was Under the Shadow worth it? I know you gave it 3 out of 5.
Um, I'm not as hot on it as a lot of people are, so it might be worth it to you. But to
Okay.
me, I felt like the human drama aspect of it was like way stronger than the horror stuff. Like the horror stuff seemed kind of shoehorned in. And if they had just like focused more on like one or the other, I mean, obviously you want to have both,
Hmm.
but a woman in the Iran-Iraq war just on her own trying to save her kid, trying not to get blown up by the like bombs constantly falling. It's like so much more compelling than, oh, and also I have a ghost in my kid's closet. Like it's just like one thing added onto her list of problems, and it's not even the most interesting of the problems that she has.
Okay. So
So
it was barely a
why?
horror. So it was almost like barely a horror movie.
Well, in like the third act, it kind of switches gears to be like totally a horror movie, but it doesn't really work, in my opinion.
Is it almost a thing where like the ghost is not trying to scare them, but it's trying to send them a message kind of thing?
Not really, no.
Okay.
It gets a lot of comparisons to the Babadook for like
Oh,
a single mom with her shitty kid and they're haunted. And it
okay.
sets itself apart enough with that, with like a historical context to it, but just watch the Babadook again.
Okay. I believe you. The original Fright Night I still need to see. Is that
Friday Night is such a blast. It was such a
I
blast.
yeah, I know I'm an idiot. I saw the remake only because it was out and my friend needed to see something. And the thing that surprised me most was during the credits it says really in small text Disney presents Fright Night. I'm like, this is a Disney movie.
What?
And it yeah, I was like, I can't tell if that's a joke or if Disney actually made this, but they just didn't want to put the Disney name on it because then no one would take it seriously. But I swore I saw Disney in the credits, unless it was a joke that someone put
I
in.
I haven't seen the remake.
The remake
It has Anton Yelchin in it.
has Anton Yelchin,
He plays the main character,
yeah,
Charlie Brewster.
and David Tennant is the Roddy McDowell, and he's not bad. I've never watched Doctor Who. I know I'm awful, so I didn't have
Wait, you
nothing.
saw Jessica Jones?
I did, yeah,
Okay.
and he's supposed to come back, and it's like, no, he
Wait,
doesn't have
no.
to.
No. Anyway,
Dream
watch the
sequence.
original. It's great.
I will.
Does the remake have the dance scene in it?
I don't think so. The remake had the one thing I liked about the remake was Colin. Now, granted, I haven't seen it since 2011, but I liked that Colin Farrell was playing a vampire that wasn't supposed to be Middle European with, trying to be this fucking Dracula thing. Before Dracula, vampires were like monsters in the woods, like fucking werewolves, like just almost no skin and teeth and just killing deer in the woods and just being like beasts. And then Dracula made him
I mean,
made a
I
so
like
that's
the
how
like gothic, seductive kind of
right.
vampire though. Like I can
Yeah.
appreciate just like howling monster vampires, but
That's more what Colin Farrell's supposed to
yeah,
be.
the Dracula aesthetic is like that's totally okay with me.
Oh, sure.
I'm here for it.
Had you never seen the original Frankenstein before?
Oh, I'd seen it before.
Okay, is it you didn't click rewatch, so I didn't know if you'd seen it before. I'm looking at the your 5 out of 5 for it.
Oh, oops.
No,
Yeah,
it's
I have seen it before.
because that was I just remember that's a early memory of my dad having it on. He's like, no, no, this is really funny. Throws the girl in the water. He's like, she's dead. And then it's like, okay. And then we watched the rest of the movie. Then I rewatched it. And I still have never watched Bride of Frankenstein. I don't know why. I just I I I don't know why it's supposed to be amazing. It's supposed to be just as good as the original as the first
Or
one.
even
And
even better.
hmm,
I bought them both on with like I'm like such a sucker for like stupid shit I don't need, like steel books. Like I got the steel books
well, I'll,
because they
I'll
had some like neat like Alex Ross drawings on the front, and I was like, dope, I'm getting these.
I
So that's how they ended up on my list.
okay. And then you texted me yesterday randomly about I just watched Reanimator for the first time. Like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, Reanimator. I love how like almost black and like gooey and disgusting like all the blood in Reanimator is. Because yeah, I really enjoyed Reanimator, and I'm kind of disappointed in myself for having not seen it before.
Mm.
But I got like sucked in immediately. And shortly before that, I watched Nightmare City, or like the poster says, City of the Walking Dead. But either way, like that movie is trash. Straight up fucking stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Yeah, I guess in this Hooptober challenge, I'm having a lot of appreciation for like 80s gore effects. Like 1985, Reanimator came out,
Yeah.
Fright Night came out, Day of the Dead came out, and they all have just super awesome, gooey, nasty, fun gore happening.
I
So
think I think
1985, good time.
I think that with Reanimator is a movie that I'm glad came out. It's so tailor made for how the effects were at that exact time. Because if you try to do Reanimator, I know there's like sequels, and I still need to sit and watch them. And they made those films out of a tribute to horror films that they grew up with. They weren't trying to make a whole new thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
So I mean that's why, like, from what I remember about it,
I have a lot of like Frankenstein and Frankenstein adjacent type of stuff on my list
mhm,
this year. Like six different movies.
Jesus, wow,
Yeah.
it from what I remember with Reanimators, that the music was not only trying to sound like Psycho, it was unapologetically going, "We're stealing all the music from Psycho."
Oh
And
yeah, the lab design. I mean, every mad scientist lab
right,
has just like been ripped directly from James Whale's Frankenstein. But
and the
yeah, it has a lot to owe to that and like the Hammer movies. I watched a couple Hammer Frankenstein movies this year too,
yeah,
which was fun.
I forgot which Hammer movie I had down. I think
But
it was
I'd never seen it before, so first I was a big fan of the like decapitated creeper teacher, even if it went a little too far for me, like I told you. But
oh
like I
wait,
don't need
no,
any like dismembered heads like sucking on anybody's titties. Like
I mean
no.
I get the
Bruh.
uncomfortableness, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of what makes it unique. It's just you're sitting there going, "Are they gonna? Oh, they're doing that too, huh? Okay." I kind of love this. I just watched Ghostbusters before this too at the same party, so I wasn't expecting things to go this
I mean,
far.
and I was fully expecting it to go farther than that, so I'm
Oh,
glad it didn't. But that point, like almost near the end, where like surprise, all the corpses are reanimated and like they all stand up, like that was some good shit.
hmm, I do need to rewatch it. I probably should. You watch Frankenhooker, which I've always wanted to watch. If you want to give it,
Frankenhooker is so
it's amazing.
bizarre,
Well, it's supposed to
so
be.
bizarre. I mean,
It's
like sleazy, but in a fun way. Like,
like completely tongue in cheek. Just every second they knew.
see, I'm comparing it in my head right now to Nightmare City, which I just mentioned as having sucked because it does suck.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any damn sense. And like the zombie makeup is just like super bad. And it's kind of also super bad in Frankenhooker, but it's played off more like a comedy. Like in Nightmare City, every time a woman gets stabbed, like her tits just fall out of her shirt. Or like they cut to something else and then they cut back to like the scene with the woman in it and like magically her shirt's off. Like those zombies are just super horny. Like, I don't know.
That sounds like when I had to go
But
see.
it's not played as like a humorous movie.
Right.
Whereas Frankenhooker is, and obviously it's really exploitative and sleazy. And there's a scene that goes on way, way, way too long where like
Mm.
the main guy who's trying to like bring his dead girlfriend back to life by finding like all the best like female parts to stitch her together. he spends so long like getting really up close and like measuring women's nipples and whatever, and there's just a bunch of naked ladies standing around, and it's probably takes like 10 minutes. And it's so great. And it takes too long for the Frankenhooker to show up. But the Frankenhooker herself is great. I love her. I want to be here when I grow up.
Thinking about the whole stabbing them and their shirts fly off, did you get to see that awful Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse from like 2 years ago?
I did not.
Okay.
You say get to see like it would be a privilege, but everything I've heard about it makes it seem like it would not be.
Well, oh, it's awful. And it, because there's a part where, like, earlier on, the three main kids are walking, and there's this female cop who does whatever, and then later in the movie, they see her again, but she's become a zombie, and they're trying to get through this gate to catch the kids, and her shirt gets caught in the fence, and it starts coming off as she's trying to walk. So she's sitting there, zombie tits hanging out, and one of the kids runs over and goes, "Oh my god, tits!" And he grabs them and runs away. And I'm like,
what?
Right. I'm like, well, could that be one thing if it was just like, okay, the concept of like, well, it's a zombie, but she's naked. But it's like, this was also a person you spoke to earlier. And you have like, this movie's fucking awful. Like, did you not? And like, they weren't friends, obviously, but like, this was a person. This was a slight character in the film earlier. And it was just like, I mean, granted, the whole film is just one of the worst things I've ever seen in a theater.
Eesh.
But it was like supposed to be straight to on demand, but it had a very limited release, and I managed to see it, and I had nothing else to do, and it was just awful for multiple reasons.
Yikes.
You gave Gerald's Game 4 out of 5. I'm going to watch that soon.
I was just about to ask you, like, have you seen Gerald's Game yet?
I didn't get a chance to yet.
Since we're on the topic, or we were earlier, of like 2017 horror movies in general.
Yes.
I liked Gerald's Game a lot. I did not like Annabelle Creation, even though everybody else seemed to.
I didn't bother.
It was so bad. I mean, maybe in comparison to the first one, but that's not really a high bar to jump.
I haven't bothered because I love the first Conjuring. I thought The Conjuring 2 was disappointing, but everyone else loves it as much as the first, and I didn't feel the same. The Annabelle movies, I'm like, I don't need to know every inch of the origin. I'm just still going to think about how I know the actual Annabelle story, and it's a stupid Raggedy Ann doll. It's not even this this China doll thing. It's not supposed to be
like,
that.
Nobody asked for a backstory about Annabelle.
No.
And yet here we are.
They want to make
two of them, and surely another one is coming out because this thing made a boatload of money.
Oh yeah.
Not as much as it, which like seriously has shocked me with like how much bank it's making.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people, when we've had almost two full generations of memes before that was even a word of Tim Curry going, I made everyone hate clowns. And so the new one, yeah, like for me,
I didn't know the nostalgia for it was that strong. Because like,
oh yeah,
when I was definitely a kid, I had seen the original TV movie, and when I was in like high school, I read the book.
Yeah.
But I just didn't realize that it was going to end up in like the top 10 of the year. Like, when's the last time you've seen like a horror movie do that?
Like money-wise?
Yeah, money-wise. Just like so many people wanted to see it, and people went again, obviously. People went multiple times. If it's made $654 million.
Oh, do you have Box Office Mojo just sitting there already?
Yeah. Because, I mean, I pulled it up. On a budget of 35. So that's what, like 20 times your investment?
Right. I don't think they expected it to do remotely what it's done. It definitely was a huge surprise. And I tried typing in Happy Death Day Box Office Mojo. And apparently, the New York Times had an article saying this is the biggest year for horror in the history of film. I'm curious if
And then
that.
box office wise, I mean, maybe. I mean, Get Out did really well,
Yeah, actually,
and
that's what it's
Annabelle
saying.
Creation did really well, but that's really all I can think of.
Horror films made $733 million in ticket sales this year, mostly because of it and Get
Is that
Out.
domestic? Is that domestic or worldwide?
Uh, it doesn't say, but I want to assume domestic
That's because the
because
635 is the worldwide number that I gave you for.
it.
Okay, and since I've Get
Okay,
Out
it
pulled
may.
up now,
I bet it
it's a
means it.
yeah, that would be
I
domestic.
think okay, because yeah, it says Get Out made 175. And then yeah, it so far, yeah, this is talking about domestic because it domestically is at 300 million,
But if we
and
want to go worldwide, they've passed 1 billion just with those three movies.
mhm.
Get
Also
Out, 253 on a budget of 4.5.
Happy
So,
Death Day, which you would probably enjoy, $4.8 million budget. It's already made over 40 million, and I
so
mean
it's
that's
not like a super hit like those three, but it's doing well for itself. I mean, it's
well
kind of hard to lose money on a horror movie, honestly, unless.
for yeah for October it being number one during this month has been. Oh, this whole list is pretty cool, actually, because it's talking about every decade. Like in '73, the big year of horror was 73 because of The Exorcist, and
Oh yeah, for
you
sure.
know, in the '80s, the best year financially for horror films. Guess what the year is? So you're probably not going to say the right answer.
Um, whatever year Elm Street came out. What's that? I think 83?
The answer is '87.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised it's '87.
And what are the movies that did that?
Uh, Apparently, Friday the 13th made through 380. Oh, it's the franchise. Wait a minute. Because it's also the same. They're counting Predator
Mm,
and The Lost Boys, and
eh,
it was the third Elm Street movie. So this is a weird list. Oh, and for the '90s, it was 1999 because of Sixth Sense and Blair Witch. I like this
yeah, that
list.
makes sense.
Okay, I'm going to go away from this list because it's changing the subject too much. But
Yeah, well, now we're talking
sorry.
like business.
But no, this has been pretty. It's been pretty great, and we need more good horror. I think a lot of it is just people probably like me who grew up on horror, meaning slasher, and the scream, the
See, I never had that problem. I mean,
I know
my mom is always like big into horror movies. Her birthday is
sure.
Halloween,
Hell
so
yeah,
yeah. I mean, she was into slasher movies. Like her absolute favorite ones are like literally like the Halloween franchise. But
right. I'm hoping that that's kind of what keeps happening because even with Trick or Treat, like which I just saw last night, he definitely wanted to make a film about people not respecting the holiday anymore, and he
hmm,
made a monster that's literally like, "Oh, you're not passing out candy. I'm going to terrorize you unless you give me candy." And the guy finds it out by mistake that that's all you want is some candy, and this woman comes back from a party and she's trying to take down decorations on Halloween night, and this guy comes in and kills her because no, you got to keep those up
rude.
till the morning. It's like that, but he doesn't say it. You just know that's what the thing is. And there's like a bunch of kids who are going around trick or treating, and the first house they go to is Dylan Baker, who is just doing violent, bloody stuff. And then the next house they go to is like one of their teachers having a costume party where they're all basically having an orgy. So it's like these kids going around, being like, man, aren't horror movies all about torture and blood and sex instead of being about fun horror Halloween stuff? And like, this isn't subtle, but I get what he's trying to say. And so Trick or Treat's actually pretty awesome, and I'm kind of disappointed I didn't see it a long time ago.
A coworker has recommended to me, who usually like has good ideas. Like he let me borrow his Blu-ray of What We Do in the Shadows,
Oh
and
hell
then I
yeah!
went out and bought my own. So, and he's like my Stranger Things like nerd, so he's gonna be pretty disappointed when I don't watch it right away because I have to finish these Hooptober movies. Yeah,
Right.
it'll be
It's
okay.
What We Do in the Shadows was surprisingly, for what should have been a silly movie.
And I mean, and it was silly. Like it was hilariously silly, but I liked it a lot. Like it was good.
Rewatch it. I know I'm not gonna have time, but like the very end of that movie, there's this adorable little moment, and it's like this movie has no right giving me this adorable moment when everything else has been just funny. But it's like, oh, okay. I don't even want to say it. It's just so good, and it's like, my one friend, when I told her about it, she's like, "Wait, you hadn't already seen it years ago?" Like, I'm an idiot. I know. Um, so I'd say we got about another 5-10 minutes to go here. So what I want to do, you mentioned Steelbook earlier. I've actually
Yes.
never bought a Steelbook for anything. I have a couple, but that's
I just find
because,
them like so
yeah,
satisfying to tap on. Like I usually have long nails and I like just like touching things. I don't know. I'm weird. Like I like steelbooks. I just think they're cool.
if I have had any before, it's just because I saw one super cheap and I just happened to need the movie, and it's like, okay, it's a couple bucks at the thrift store or whatever.
Oh, they're typically like impulse buys when I'm like at
Yeah.
Best Buy for something else and like,
Oh
wow,
yeah.
that's a cool cover art. Like I'm totally getting it.
I've never gone out of my way,
The one for
but
It Follows is like cool. It's like cool. I like it.
there's one for Whiplash I kind of want. It's just a symbol, which makes sense because it's metal. And
Oh,
I kind of want that, but I haven't seen it around. But
I
um,
wouldn't buy one for something I already had in like a normal plastic box. Like I'm not
sure.
like that crazy, and I have whiplash, so I wouldn't need to do that.
Well, there was a film that came out last year that I wanted a Blu-ray DVD combo of, and I knew I wanted it, so I could just let people borrow it and not worry about what they had. And the only
Mm-hmm.
one of this particular movie, probably already know where I'm going with this. This is kind of how I
I
want to end.
do.
I kind of want to end the whole episode with this because we're going to talk about it for a while. Um, the only one I could find was a Steelbook. It's the only Blu-ray DVD I could find is in a Steelbook, and it was only available in Canada, so I had to import for 35 bucks
This
the
steelbook
Steelbook.
cover is dope. I just googled it.
The Steelbook
I'm not gonna spoil it for you though.
of this film that, okay, so last year, early, like in one of the January horror movies came out last year, was this film called The Boy, which is dumb, but it's delightfully dumb. It's freaking stupid. But there was a trailer before it for this one film called The Witch. And I remember sitting in the theater. My friend
And
was supposed to meet me, and he was late, so he didn't see the trailer. But I'm sitting there, and by the time the trailer ended, my heart was already pounding at the trailer, and I'm like, I could leave now. I don't know what the hell
yeah,
that
that
was.
trailer like fucked me up. Like I didn't even remember it until you just mentioned it, but
Right.
I think I saw that trailer like a couple times, like in theaters before the movie actually came out. I definitely knew, like, okay, I'm here day one for this. I don't know what this
Mhm.
is, but I'm here for it.
So this is about a month later. I'm with my one friend who does not do movies that much. He he's there because I'm there, and he's trying to get into it because I'm into it. And so all my main movie buddies aren't available, and I'm sitting there. And it's nothing against him. I'm just saying, like, um, the first scene of this movie, and I'm gonna try to talk quick because I think you have a deeper love for this film than even I do, and I want to let you kind of end it. But the first scene, which I have met people who turned the movie off at this scene
Okay, yeah.
because, they, and this movie's been out for almost 2 years. I'm just gonna go full on to spoilers. I don't care. So the baby's gone, and then
Baby's gone.
the baby's gone. You see the witch there. First of all, showing it's real. Um, and then you start seeing a butter churn. Like, was she making butt? Wait, where's the baby? It is
Ugh, that sound.
like, huh, okay. And just talking about it now, I can feel myself like losing it. And then she like is revived, and you see her rise up, and the fucking creepy ass choir, and she's coming up towards the moon, and I'm in my chair in the theater, just it's 5 minutes in, and I'm dead, and like I'm just at this point just so like I'm already tearing up. I'm tearing up thinking about it now, and I haven't seen it
Oh
in a year.
God.
Like really, it fucked me up that bad. I'm like, oh no, that was the beginning. So, um, I it just keeps going, and it's creepy. And then the kid is out with his dad. The son's out with his dad, and they're out doing something else they shouldn't be doing. And he's like, "We were picking apples, mom." And then later, when he starts coughing up shit, it coughs up a fucking apple. And I'm like, "Oh my god, how did you even know he said that?" Fuck. God damn it! And there's a bite out of it. What the fuck? And God damn it! And then she turns into an adult witch and seduces the 10-year-old boy. And did she fuck him with the apple and shove it down his? What the fuck did you do to him? And there's fucking twins, right? And there's these twins, and they start talking to the goat, and you think they're just saying "ba" in his ear, and they're just being assholes with the goat. Like when you see a cow you're driving down the street, and you see a
You think they're
cow,
just being shitty kids? Like, yeah.
right? Well, do you know the scenario if you're driving down the street, you see a cow and you yell "moo," like they're supposed to look at you and go "what"?
I
And
live
you
in Alaska. Do you think
oh,
I've ever
that's
seen a cow?
okay. Let me reword this. You know when you see a moose and you're driving
Yeah.
down the street and you go at it, and like it's supposed to turn around and go, "There's a moose in that car." It's like that. You think
We
that's
don't
what?
make noises at moose.
Oh, well, you're doing it wrong. Anyway,
Okay. Okay.
so anyway, and then it's like, okay, they're just being assholes to the goat, and then they're sitting there playing, and the goat is jumping and rearing like it's about to kill them, and I'm like, oh my god, is it gonna murder these kids? What? And they stop the goat. I'm like, how did you do that? That it was about to murder them. But then you watch the movie again, and you realize that they're not just going bah bah, they're talking to Satan. They're conversing with Satan in a different language. Yeah. So the son starts having his epiphany, and he realizes that Satan is coming to take his soul. So he starts screaming for Jesus and gives this whole fucking creepy ass fucking prayer while the twins
That
are
is
on the
such a
ground.
great scene.
Oh, and they're convulsing, and Thomason is the witch, and she's like, "I'm not," and she's trying to defend it, and he's yelling, "Silence, creature!" And I've been yelling that ever since to just random people, and I'm just shut up. It's like they haven't seen the movie, and oh, god damn it! So I, so then she thinks she sees her baby, the mom, and she's holding it. No, it's a raven eating her, just breastfeeding from her. Just
That's the part that fucked up my sister the most. When I watched it again, I watched it with my sister. Like, that raven is eating her tits. Like,
it's like, oh, and it's just such a
bruh.
centered. She's just laughing, and it's such a well centered shot. I'm like, he had to tell the cameraman, no, no, it's fine. It's gonna make sense later, guys. Just shoot the shit. And it starts getting creepy, but it's like it's the 1400s, so it was a bit more normal. Where it's like, Thomas, and bathe your father, and he has to take his shirt off, and you're like, where is this fucking going, movie? And 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 then it just and then eventually, um Thomason, after watching Black Phillip, who every time they do close-ups of this fucking goat, he's just smirking, and I'm like, where did you find this goat?
This piece of shit goat.
Where'd you find this rabbit? Where'd you find this fucking rabbit? And there's just this shot of the rabbit, and it's just got the and rabbits already creep me out already, which I know sounds
Really?
dumb. Rabbits. Do you ever?
Okay.
Have you ever watched Watership Down?
Yes.
Okay, rabbits creep me out. I don't care. Like they just
Okay.
do, and they just do. Just like you can't see their emotion. They just got eyes with nothing in them, and when they yawn, I don't know. Rabbits creep me out more than like actual animals that are supposed to do that. So the shot of the rabbit. So there I am again in my chair, just frozen, and the Black Phillip's done. He stabs the dad really hard, and then the mom's fighting, and she has to kill her mom, and it's. And I'm like, good God, this is the fuck are you gonna do? And she's lying there, and this is this part where I've seen interpretations that this is a dream where she puts her head on the table, time
No, no, no.
changes.
I don't want to
I
hear any. I don't want to hear any. It's just a dream.
No, I agree. I've seen theories and I don't believe them. But and she gets up
Stupid ass shit.
and she goes, well, shit. If I go back to the village and they see that all my family's dead, they will hang me. So, Black Phillip, please tell me you're real. And there's just this pause. And she asks again, there's this pause. And I'm like, oh my God, is she losing her mind?
And then it fucking talks.
Yes. I'm like, oh, God damn it. The taste of butter in pretty dresses. With our wish to live deliciously. And I'm done. And then she walks off into the woods and she takes off her clothes. And I'm like, I think she's supposed to be 14, but Kay, and she's walking.
16, I think.
Is she 16? Either, I mean,
like it's
sure,
that much of a difference.
it's the 1400s. The age of consent was probably 8.
Yeah.
But she's, and then she finds the coven and starts floating. And there's this goddamn choir again, the creepy ass singing, and then it cuts to black.
Okay.
And,
okay. I have to talk about this like it's all just a dream, like bullshit theory.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
And the ending. Because it's all just a dream theory. It disregards everything that's happened in the movie up to that point and makes it meaningless, and not just in the sense that it's all just a dream, but in Thomason's journey of eventually casting off this Puritan, hyper-religious, inherently patriarchal bullshit and finding her way towards being empowered with a group of women, and also fucking Black Phillip. You gotta have Black Phillip. But I don't see that last scene as creepy. I see it as like she's finally free from like all this bullshit she didn't ask for. Like they're all mad at her because of puberty and because her little brother is like looking at her tits. Like that's not her fault.
Right.
She's growing up.
I mean,
it's all just like they're afraid of her becoming an adult woman, a sexual person.
Right. They're about to sell
And
her
so like,
off.
and so the more I watch it, which has been like 3 times now, I mean, it's still like severely unsettling because like using a baby as like an exfoliator is not chill. But
No, I mean,
it
I got.
becomes more of a story about an, a girl in a helpless situation who manages to escape all that patriarchal bullshit. And I'm all about it.
I know you are. I got it wasn't the creep factor didn't really come in. I was just like, no, I'm just happy for her that
Yeah,
she's
especially that last scene,
free.
like, get it, girl, get that butter.
Right. And that wasn't
I want to live delicious. Come on.
it's the music coming back. It was the callback of like that there's a video of how they did the music and I can't watch it because it's the music.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Like, and
It's the
he has
machine.
this like weird, like custom device full of all kinds of just weird stuff that he did to make the music. It's great. The music in The Witch is great.
Mhm. That's kind of what I meant by creepy. Not what's going on
Completely
itself.
unsettling.
Yeah.
I mean, some
It
of what's going on, but like, I think it asks you to both be afraid of the witch and identify with Thomason, who eventually becomes the witch. So it leaves
yeah.
itself open to different interpretations that way. Well, I mean, I appreciate that. Not in like a intentionally
Mhm.
vague, like stupid, it comes at night kind of way.
Let's not speak of that anymore. Oh, there's another horror movie that came
Okay,
out that
let's not.
was different. But anyway, all I know is that I got up slowly. And my friend's looking at me like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I don't know." And I go in the rest. I go in the bathroom just to like, you know, throw water on my face.
Sit.
And no, I didn't even do anything. I just threw water on my face. I just stared in the mirror. I'm like, "What the fuck just happened?" And I walk out. And he's like, "Are you okay?" I said, "I still don't know." Like, "Are you feeling okay?" I'm like, "I'm numb. I don't know." I really like this film has fucked me up more than most films I've ever seen. And if you look at my diary history on Letterboxd, I didn't check in anything for 3 weeks. I just didn't. I just like I can't. I cannot watch anything else. I'm numb. I cannot absorb.
You could go back and watch The Witch again.
I'm afraid to. I mean, like if I have time before Tuesday, I may sit there and go, you know what? I could use just hating myself and watching it again. It's weird. It's like there's something about it that just hits the right notes. And the first time creeped me out. When I watched it again, I still got that way, but I was appreciating the craft of everything else, of just how well the effects are in general, the whole atmosphere of everything, how he edits it together, how he's willing to have a shot of them burying the sun and they're in the bottom left and everything's desolate and fucked and they just let it linger on this shot for like a minute and he's not afraid to do that. It's like, god damn it, this is a great film that no one's seeing because it's getting marketed as a fucking horror movie. But I mean it is, but it's like people just
I mean, a
sitting.
lot of people who are stupid and wrong uh, thought that it was like too slow, like the cinema score wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Cinema score is just like
Well,
opening day
Boo and
obvious
Medea
bullshit. But
Halloween has an A movie score. So
I mean, it's like the opening day people, and a lot of the times the opening day audiences for horror movies are like shitty high schoolers
right.
with like a poor attention span. But have you heard about Robert Eggers'
Nosferatu.
next project?
I was
Like,
about to say
what do you feel
Nosferatu.
about that?
I I The thing is, like for a while, he had this other movie listed called The Knight, like Knight, and I'm like,
Okay.
he wants to do a medieval movie. Okay, is he like I could see him doing just like a like just some creepy like movie with a wizard and if he basically makes his own Excalibur except it's super creepy and fucked and I go okay, yeah, whatever you say. But then the fucking Guy Ritchie King Arthur came out, so now I can't make it. So instead,
Oh, boo.
oh, I'm gonna make Nosferatu. I'm gonna make
Wait, the night is looks like it's gonna be a mini series. It's not about like
oh
it's based on the life of Rasputin.
I know nothing else about it. I never looked it up. I just saw the title. So if
It's
what
on
you're
his Wikipedia page right now.
oh he's doing a Rasputin movie, a
It's
miniseries.
a mini series.
Well, well, shit. Now I'm excited for
Yeah.
that. But anyway,
I mean, it looks like he's into this like period creepy period stuff and like
oh god, a Rasputin
oh,
movie's
he
gonna be
started out as a production designer. That makes so much
yeah.
sense.
Oh yeah, no, his this guy's like should be. I've watched way too many of
Oh
his
yeah, he's
interviews,
got a ton of credits as far as like
and
production design.
Anya Taylor Joy is already going to be in the Nosferatu movie.
She is gonna be a star, and she's already getting there. She's got Split,
Yeah,
which, like I said, I didn't watch, but she was in it. She's gonna work with him again on that movie. Um, have you seen this trailer for the New Mutants? I'm so confused by it,
I
but
haven't.
she's in it,
Okay,
so I'll probably watch it because I watch all these fucking comic book movies, and I don't really know anything about New Mutants, but it looks
right.
very studio horror,
Uh,
except with like X-Men adjacent in it. I don't know what to
I
think about this.
I I might check it out a bit. Well, it. Did you have anything else you wanted to put on say about the witch? I know I went nuts, but
You definitely recapped the movie. That
sorry,
is what happened.
sorry.
Um,
I
um, I think I'm set. I think
okay.
I just want to reiterate that everybody needs to watch The Witch
And Raw and Raw
and Raw. Yes, of course.
and Raw's like probably the best horror film I'm going to see all year because there's nothing else that's going to come out at this point that I'm going to care to see. Um,
They don't really come out much in like November, December, so
like early December, we'll get some like crappy horror movie that's been sitting on the shelf for 5 years. And like, I guess we'll put it
yeah,
like
we'll get some stupid
because
something
we finally
stupid.
Amityville: The Awakening just came out. Finally,
Whoopee.
yeah, that finally just happened. And the Leatherface movie, the one that's supposed to be in the 50s,
Oh, yeah,
that
that is available to rent on Amazon.
that was playing near me for like a
Oh, really?
that was playing near me for like a minute. I did not have time, and it's already gone.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not expecting it to be good because none of them have been good since the second one.
mm,
But I will watch it for completion's sake
sure.
because last year I watched every single one of them marathoned with my sister, and so we're gonna have to get together and watch the
Right.
new awful prequel. It'll be great. It'll be great.
Well, I must say, and I'm gonna kind of start wrapping up because we're almost at 2 hours. Um,
Oh, yeah, time to go.
yeah. So I'd say this year for horror has been pretty good. I'm hoping you hope it starts a trend of like, look, quality makes money. Oh my God, who knew? And
Well, also lack of quality makes money. Like the Annabelle creation movies made like 300 million.
yeah,
I think honestly, like
it being such a massive success, though, they need to take those trends and go characters. Oh my God, we used to do that, guys. We used to put characters in movies. What do we do now?
like if
And
if I look at the best movies of this year, in my opinion,
yeah.
I'm pulling up the list that I've made. Um,
Oh, for my
Raw,
favorites.
Get Out, Gerald's Game, and It are all on it.
Okay. I mean, I have
So
my
far, it's
base.
everything I've rated like 4 stars or more. Like, but which will
I
get
just
cut
have a
down
basic.
eventually.
Right. I'm at 9. I'm at 103 films for the year, just total that I've seen. Um, and I think horror wise, yeah, Raw, Split, uh, Personal Shopper's a ghost movie. Doesn't really count, but it
I wouldn't.
does kind of.
I don't think I'd count it.
Get Out is
I mean, you could if
there.
you wanted.
A ghost story, literally. Yeah, that's on my yes list. But
Oh, I never. I didn't get to see that.
that's not a horror movie. It's a film about nihilism and existential dread. It's not a that's it's
Yeah,
technically if that's horrifying for
that's what
you,
I
it's a horror
gather. It's
movie.
not really a horror movie.
If that's horrifying for you, there it is. Um, it I technically put It Comes at Night on like the yes list, but it's so far down, I know it doesn't matter. The Beguiled's kind of a horror movie. That The Beguiled's actually not too bad. The remake.
I wouldn't call it a horror movie. I don't think.
Oh, and then Mother, which we didn't even get to talk about.
I don't want
That's
to,
yeah,
honestly.
that's fine. I
I don't
understand.
want to.
Um, all right, so I think we're good. I think it's been a pretty good year for horror. Hooptober is always pretty fun to kind of catch up on things, and
I'll let you
um,
know if I actually finish it. I'm going to. What am I talking about? I'm definitely finishing it. Even
I
if I'm
believe
like typing up a review at like 10 o'clock on
I,
like Halloween night, like I'm gonna
right.
finish it.
I believe in you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Um,
much.
I think we're pretty much good to go. Next month is kind of when the Oscar movies start piling in. We'll get like Thanksgiving.
Already. Oh my gosh. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, you're
I
right.
think because Florida, I just got Florida Project out here, and I saw that. That I'll talk about next time because that's I got a lot to say about that, but that's next time.
It's not over here yet. So
Um,
wait until, because I'm going to see it. Just wait,
right,
wait, wait, wait.
like
Nothing that I want to see is coming out. I'm looking at my list right now, and it's just like
for this.
trash on top of trash. Like the new Jigsaw movie, Geostorm. Like, oh my god.
The only thing I'm probably gonna go see this week is Suburbicon, and that's like at a cheap showing early in the day just to waste time. So yeah, this week's kind of. I think everyone figured Jigsaw would make all the money, so they didn't bother putting anything else out. Just
Yeah.
kind of.
I heard it was kind of weak, but
Oh,
Oscar Isaac's in it at the same time. So like, I'm weighing my options here.
right. I mean, we're gonna watch him get murdered, but yeah. Um, it's not even a spoiler. It's in the trailer.
Yeah. Still, rude. Don't say that about him.
But all right. I think it's been pretty good. Yeah, we're almost at 2 hours. So anyone listening to this, I apologize. I was trying to keep it short, and that doesn't happen when you and me talk. So I,
Oops.
is there anything? I don't mean to cut you off. Is there anything else any final comments?
Nah, I'm good.
Oh, all right. Well, everyone have a good night. Thanks for listening. It's been Half Race Tuesdays. I'm Vinny.
And I'm Dorsey.
All right. Have a good night. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.